It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great. Like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name's Chris.
And my name's Mike.
And this week, we're going through the most anticipated movies for 2026. It's a little early, but I feel like there's, it's time to start thinking about them, Mike. We've been talking about them all year, so let's see what the people are saying. In surprising news, DC Studios confirms a solo Clayface movie. The character everyone is clamoring for right now, Clayface. They want to see Clayface. Kraven kills Sony's SPUM universe. Mike just straight up murdered it this week. and more.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun week of dunking, I feel like, news-wise, at least once we get to the end of the show.
Yeah.
But talk about a way to, if we're purely talking, just, cinema, films, I feel like we're ending the year pretty, weak for the most part. Well, the month of December, I should say. November was popping off.
I would say for our behalf, at least, because Wicked and Moana 2 are still plowing through the box office numbers. I'm not watching Mufasa. Sonic is probably
I forgot about that.
Sonic 3 is probably going to get some traction, though. I would say Sonic.
Keep forgetting about Sonic. See, that's my blind spot of the show. This insanely popular video game franchise that's been around as long as I feel like I've been alive.
Yeah.
And it's a total dead spot to me. I know we've talked about the streaming service Dropout on the show before, and they have their kind of own version of Whose Line It Is Anyway called Make Some Noise. And they're starting to become a little bit more popular now so they can get bigger guests. And they just had an episode a week or two ago with Ben Schwartz on it. And obviously it's perfect timing because, he's got Sonic coming out. But also he's just like an improv specialist. He has specials on Netflix where it's just him and I can't think of his friend's name that was on Silicon Valley off the top of my head. But they did a whole improv special on there. And he killed it. Sometimes Make Some Noise. We'll have some contestants up there that are just kind of okay, but maybe the other two are carrying it. But everyone up there was popping off. It was so funny. So if you have Dropout, I think that's a great gift to give somebody. Dropout, the streaming service.
He was also on the Game Changer as well. He did a couple shows on there because
I don't think Ben Schwartz was on Game Changer. I don't think so.
That's the other show on there, right?
Yeah, they have Game Changer and Make Some Noise. Game Changer is the one where every episode's different, totally different game. Kind of almost like a Taskmaster in a way.
Make Some Noise.
And Make Some Noise is more like Whose Line Is It?
Make Some Noise is also a title of one of the episodes of Game Changer, ironically.
Yeah, because the game was born out of they spun it off.
Yeah, I swear I've seen some clips with him in it. What's his name again? We're looking for
Ben Schwartz.
Game Changer. Oh my gosh, I can't type today. On Make Some Noise and Nobody Has Premiered. Nope. I don't know. Maybe not. I swear I saw some clips. So maybe it was. Would he have been on? Is Make Some Noise the same studio setup as Game Changer?
Yeah, it looks similar, so that's probably why you feel like you saw him on there.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, Sonic, huge blind spot for me, which is crazy because they keep adding characters with more and more famous voice talent behind them, and I'm just maybe I'll watch it. But it's crazy. The longer I wait, the franchise is huge. This is a trilogy now with a Paramount show.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
There's
probably somebody in the analytics department. How do we get this dude? To watch this stuff. Yeah. I don't know, man.
They'll get you there. I mean, I think I 100% don't believe it's a trilogy. I think there will be a fourth one. There probably is post-credit scenes leading into a fourth one, because obviously Sonic, it's not like they didn't plan a trilogy when they did this. When they started the first movie, remember we bullied the studio so bad that they changed the art direction for Sonic entirely. Remember Ugly Sonic, who showed up later in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the movie. So bad. So obviously bullying the studio, not the people, the studio itself, the faceless organization, was great, and they keep coming out with these. Like I said, to get Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves. I wonder who's next, really, that they could do along the way to grab them in there. But I think December still got some good movies. I think a couple things in there. It's not going to be next year's Avatar, Mike. That'll be a whole different December marketing and hype moment for everybody around. But we can start with this one. I just want to put this in here, Mike. I've never seen the show The Sopranos from HBO. It started in 1999. I think I would have been a little young and not had access to HBO at that point in my life where I grew up. And I started the show this week, and I'm enjoying myself. I wouldn't say I'm going to go start doing gangster stuff.
It's quite the undertaking.
Yeah.
That is a thick drama. That is, I know that there's quite a bit of seasons. It was very popular.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that's going to be the type of show for sure where you watch it and you go, oh, I've seen that person in something. I'm sure it launched a ton of careers. So you'll probably see an actor in like the third season. It's just like, oh, that's where this person got their whole jump off, But talk about blind spots. Sopranos is in there. I've seen The Wire though, so I feel like that at least gives me some street cred.
That might be the next one, because I feel like I started seeing like on YouTube Shorts, like almost like full clips, like since they do 3-minute clips on Shorts now, like I'm seeing whole scenes of The Sopranos. Maybe if I just watch this show, I can get these out of my Shorts feed because they were there. So, but most of the shorts I've seen are actually from the first season, which is where I am. It only went on for 6 seasons, and about 13 episodes a season. So I feel, except for the later half, I think season 6 had like double, but like I feel like it's gonna be like one of those, like over the holiday season when I'm not doing anything, I'm like, I can watch a couple of these along the way. But I just feel like, it's like you said, this is one of those things, like I never watched it, never really had anything about it, and I figured I'd start it. So if anyone else has craving The Sopranos, a true HBO show, it's got that the HBO start with like the fuzzy TV and that click, like when HBO used to do those. So it's real.
Sorry, did you say craving or Kraven? I'm confused.
Both. Yes, both. Don't get ahead of yourself. We're not going to get there. We have plenty of dead horse to beat on the back half of this show. And Kraven probably wouldn't like that there was a dead horse. He's an animal lover or something, right? Maybe he was hunting the horse. Along the way, this week was also the Video Game Awards, Mike, and I'm not going to talk too much about it, but we had been talking a little bit about it. The game of the year was Astro Bot, a game we both have talked about. Wanting to play but never got to play. I know they have the demo when you get your PlayStation 5 that shows you how to use the controller that Astrobot's based on.
That's so weird, because it's like I have so much experience with Astrobot, but without really playing any like super popular games from Astrobot, because he first showed up on the scene with the PSVR. So he had a game where you could play in a really cool virtual setting, and then he became the demo game for the PS5 like controller. Right? Yep. I think what it was. So it's so weird that like, oh, now everyone knows about Astrobot because he has a full-fledged game. I'm like, he's had 2 games already, kind of. Yeah. But I'm proud of Astrobot. I haven't played it myself, but it is just a joy to play those other games.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they had some cool trailers. They kind of nothing that would like really fall in here. I was really hoping for a Blade trailer. Remember how they announced that Blade game a while back? I'm like, oh, maybe they'll do some Blade stuff. But really not a lot of Marvel showing. I guess with the Rivals coming out, they kind of just they were like, we don't have anything to show. But I was really hoping for some more Marvel stuff. But it was I like the Video Game Awards. It's my favorite thing. In mid-December to just chill out and watch on a day. So but if anybody else watched it, has anything they saw they liked, let us know. And lastly, before we get into the news, Mike, our it's housekeeping right now. Next week is the week of Christmas. It falls on a Wednesday this year, which is really weird. We will both be off, not recording next week, so you guys will have a week without us. Then we will come back the 30th or 29th, I guess, in 2 weeks to to have our last episode of the year, and then also kick off our 10th year of recording, because this is now 10 years of we have 10 years of show under our belts after the 29th. So
yeah, I feel like we should be getting some sort of like little trophy in the mail, some
Mhm.
sort of like award, a medal, a brooch.
Yeah.
But I realize it's only us, so we would have to make it ourselves, and too lazy
Yep.
for that.
I'll see if I can 3D print me a little medal, self-fulfilled prophecy. But yeah, for everyone next week, it's a holiday week. People will probably be working that Monday, but we will not be here. We will be off and then come back and wrap up 2024, kick off 2025, which I said 2026 earlier, didn't I? Damn, it's 2025. I've already jumped the gun on all these things. Already butchered it. But let's jump into this. We have start of our news, Mike. Fandango has released their most anticipated movies for 2025 and not 2026, Chris. And these are all voted by people. And I was going to go through them because the number one movie, Mike, for next year, and probably because its proximity is February, March, is Captain America: Brave New World. I thought it was a fun little. I saw they had like a little trailer this week, a little teaser coming up. So I think people are kind of getting excited for that.
Yeah, I feel like your idea of proximity, I feel like this isn't so much of what everyone's most anticipated for. It's like, what is just most are you aware of?
Mm-hmm.
Because 28 Years Later is number 10, but that just like had a teaser trailer
yeah.
like last week. Or no, was it? I guess, yeah,
It-
technically
it-
last
it's
week,
this
this
week,
week in
yeah.
terms of the show. And then Wicked. Oh, I
Yeah.
thought that was Wicked Part 1. I was like, wait, what?
No, yeah. So number one, Captain America: Brave New World, very close. And I think these are just gonna go through here because I think the only one of these that I have not seen a trailer for, Mike, is Jurassic World Rebirth. Right? They had like a little trailer, but like not recently, like a teaser. So number one, Captain America: Brave New World. Number two, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which is Dead Reckoning Part 2. Jurassic World Rebirth coming in at 3. Ballerina from the World of John Wick at number 4, and Fantastic Four at number 5. I think these might be 5 movies I would watch in theaters, Mike. If I'm gonna be transparent, because I remember I've Jurassic World I've fallen off of. Did not see the last 2 of the 3. But everything else I'd watch in theaters. Any on these your first 5 you're looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm looking at this graphic here that has the full 10, and I got to imagine Superman jumps up from number 9 as soon as we get a trailer. I feel like the only reason it's in that back half is because there hasn't been any footage, and you kind of have to be on the internet online to kind of see the set footage and everything. Like I don't think Superman right now passes like the family test. Like, you go home for the holidays and be like, hey, you excited for that new Superman movie? They're gonna be like, well, they're making another Superman movie, so that will change, I think, here shortly.
Well, I think, and we'll here 6 through 10 is Avatar: Fire and Ash, no trailer. I think that's a weird one to be up there so high. Wicked Part 2. Most people didn't know Wicked had a Part 2 till a couple weeks ago when Part 1 came out, and they don't call it Part 1; they just call it Wicked. So I think that's just hype right now. People knowing that there's a Part 2 coming. The Accountant 2, didn't even know this was happening. Didn't even know The Accountant I didn't know the first movie of The Accountant. Didn't know it was getting a sequel. That's peculiar. Superman, totally get, but you're right. We'll probably get a trailer over the next 2 weeks, so we'll have something to talk about when we come back. And then 28 Years Later is simply from, again, the teaser coming out so recently. Because I could have probably, I think we've talked about it on the show several times, but like no one outside of like people who are fans of that would have been like, oh my God, they're making another one. And actually, did you know, Mike, they're making 2. There's 28 Years Later, 28 Years Later Part 2, like the Bone Kingdom or something coming up after that. So it wasn't made in with this. It's actually a separate movie, but like it's at the same time. So like, it's a very interesting list. Are there any that you feel like are left off? I'm trying to like go through my head. I'm like, what is not on this list? And I was thinking Thunderbolts, but that's not I don't think that would pass the family test even with 2 trailers, Mike. Like, I don't think that's something that's there yet.
Yeah, no one is really standing out in that trailer unless they're like really into the streaming shows and they watched Black Widow, they would catch any of that. Me personally, obviously I'm blue pilled. I want to see more Avatar.
Yeah.
It's the only time I ever like shell out to try to go to like the biggest screen possible. I drive out of my way to a theater that I'd never usually go to. But Fantastic Four, I feel like
Mhm.
maybe my most anticipated, because I feel like that has the biggest chance of kind of changing the MCU with one film installment. So yeah, it's got to be fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it has the biggest swing here because like I feel the first four, Captain America, Mission Impossible, Jurassic World, John Wick, Ballerina, those are all sequels, right? Those are already pre-established, returning. Most of these, except Superman and Fantastic Four, are returning sequels, right, or prequels or spin-offs. So the Fantastic Four being a solo film, being team building and world building a little bit, is got me a lot of hype. Superman, well, I want to see the trailer. I'm really hoping for something, that James Gunn can pull something that's not Guardians of the Galaxy or the Suicide Squad out of a hat. So I'm excited to kind of see what he does with that as well. But I couldn't think, other than Thunderbolts, and I just think the name Thunderbolts is bad for that movie. I think Thunderbolts will not be a good name going forward. They should just, again, this is a big assumption here, if they're going to say the team's the New Avengers or the Dark Avengers or whatever have you, they should just call it that and just get it out of the way. Because I think more people are like, oh my God, we're going to go see the New Avengers movie. I think it's going to be better than trying to get, the family to go see Thunderbolts come May. But you never know what Sebastian Stan's face can do for a movie, Mike. You put him on a poster, people might flock to it. Moving on to the other big announcement this week from DC proper is that Clayface, a DCU story from a script by Mike Flanagan, has been officially greenlit, meaning that it will go into production in 2025. And I'm going to skip right to the bottom. It is releasing September 11th, 2026. So it is so greenlit, we have a release date already. Like, not just...
Yeah, which is wild. Because we talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago when this was kind of a rumor floating around, but not only is it confirmed now, your next bullet point would be where my next point would go, if not knowing, is that it's confirmed to be within, I guess, the Superman universe, right?
Yep. So this is announced by James Gunn, which I think he's the president of everything, so he would announce probably Batman 2 and Joker 2 stuff. But like, this is not an Elseworlds film. This is not a Batman 2 antagonist. That he specifically says a DC Universe story, so it would fit within the realm of what James Gunn is building with Superman and Creature Commandos. However, on an asterisk note, a Clayface will appear in the upcoming Creature Commandos episode, also voiced by Alan Tudyk. So I don't think Alan Tudyk will be Clayface, or it may not even be this version of Clayface, because there's been several versions in the comic books, Mike. Like, the original was like a master disguise person, who used masks and clay to like disguise themselves with other people. We all know the one from the Batman the Animated Series and Harley Quinn, where it's just a big clay monster kind of looking dude, and who can transform for some time. So my guess with Mike Flanagan having his hands in horror and probably body horror, and I wouldn't say supernatural in this case, but like really gruesome stuff, I imagine this will be the big monstery Clayface along the way.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, I don't know a whole lot about maybe how the lore of Clayface has changed throughout the comic books. Like you were just mentioning, I primarily know a lot of the Batman characters from the animated series. And is this like if I recall correctly, was this like a character that like a normal person like falls into like a vat of ooze or something? Is it like they were like disfigured in some way by some sort of chemical agent, which gave them their ability to change shape? I think
one of them is it doesn't fall in, like, he has a disease, and like he's trying to cure his disease, and then by curing it he gives him the creature. Like, he becomes a creature by trying to do that.
Gotcha.
No, there's another one that fell in a pool of radioactive protoplasm.
Yeah, I feel like that's always a good coin flip of how does somebody get a power in a comic book universe? Oh, there's a vat of something somewhere.
Especially if it's a Batman villain. Especially if it's a Batman villain from like the 40s and 50s. Like, they probably...
Yeah, I mean, if this movie is intended to, let's say, be the same Clayface that's in Creature Commandos, I could totally see the voice actor changing, right? I mean, we've seen a couple clips of Clayface in Creature Commandos, like in brief
Trailers.
glimpses, and we've only seen the character in Clay. So if the character only exists in Clay and we never really see their true form, you know, it's just kind of weird. I guess I don't envy the position James Gunn is in because he has like a current Batman universe already running. He's trying to launch his own universe, and then he gets it going with this animated show, and he's like, wait. Now I have like this all-star like Hollywood creator that wants to make something for us, and they want to make Clayface. But man, I already put a Clayface in my animated thing. What's going on here?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the cart before the horse scenario where like these we like to think all these connected universes have all the strands planned out ahead of time. But I will tell you that this announcement makes me feel like they don't have anything planned out ahead of time. They have a bunch of wish lists, and then they're gonna have to, like you mentioned, backfill, adapt to what already exists. Like, oh shit, we did Creature Commandos, we brought in Clayface because we didn't think we had a Clayface, but now we have a, this awesome Clayface, and I think they could make it work simply because, if anything, and much like they're leaning into in what we see for Superman and Lanterns, there are multiple characters with that mantle, right? The Green Lanterns, we have Hal Jordan, we have Jon Stewart, we have oh my gosh, I can't think of the one Nathan Fillion's playing with the red-haired bowl cut, right? Like, they know, like, yeah, we have multiple Green Lanterns. We'll probably have multiple Clayface along the way. So that's a good out, but, like, you're right, like, boy, that hashtag, we have it all planned out, it's all connected thing, like, it's not as well thought out as we hoped it would be, right? Like, it's just like, yeah, we're just going to hopefully make good stories and backfill them along the way. But I mean, is there, I'm gonna put a question, and you're not gonna have an answer to it. Alan Tudyk's probably not gonna be it because he's just a great voice actor. He's a great actor. I don't think he'd be that. But who would you put as Clayface in like a situation like if you were to grab like a big name, because this is like the third DC movie officially announced, right? Like we have Superman, Supergirl, and then Clayface. What big actor do you throw into Clayface along the way? Like, do you try to get who do you get?
Gary Oldman. Because I like Gary Oldman, and if I'm thinking Batman, thinking Gary. I mean, he was obviously Commissioner Gordon, but yeah, make him be Clayface. I like his voice.
What if you get like a? I mean, I'm not necessarily saying Tom Hiddleston, but like a Tom Hiddleston, Benedict Cumberbatch-esque actor to play like the human version of it, like someone who's like real sleek, and then they have to deal with like transforming into like a Fly scenario, right? Like how, oh my gosh, I am bad with names. It's one of those days I'm having with names. The guy who is the Grandmaster in Marvel, he's at Jurassic Park. Jeff Goldblum becomes a Fly, right? Like, transforms, like someone who's like normal and has enthusiasm, personality, like he's like slowly transforming over the movie into like a monster with that. But this will be updated on our release schedule calendar, which you can go to on our website, superheroslate.com, with the new release dates. Moving in, we're going to stay in the Batman world a little bit, Mike, for this next bit of news. The Batman Part 2 currently still has an October 2026 release date, which is like 1 month after this Clayface movie. So, DC putting out 2 movies at the same time within a month. I don't think this is going to happen, Mike. I think this one's going to get moved.
Tell you what, this is definitely going to confuse the family, the parents test, for sure. They're trying to wrap their heads around one Batman movie that's already out. It's been reinforced with Colin Farrell in The Penguin, which there's a chance that your parents might have watched The Penguin. I've heard people watching it that I never would have expect people catching The Penguin. And now all of a sudden,
that's a sequel to Sopranos, right? That's why I'm watching The Sopranos.
Yeah. Exactly. And then there's going to be a Clayface. Man, it's confusing.
I think Clayface will probably be one of those you don't have to watch, but it'll be like nice. I'm really thinking it'll be an R-rated, but like the Batman came out 21? Was that 21 when that came out on Max that year that they put everything on Max, or maybe it was 22. Then Penguin this year, 2-3 years later, and then like another 2 to 3 years before Batman Part 2 even lands. Like, that feels kind of rough. James Gunn was said, even went online, like, was confirming like the script isn't even done for this yet. Robert Pattinson is signed on for Christopher Nolan's movie, which is filming next summer, 2025. So they might not even be filming during the summer. Like, what damage are they going to do, Mike, by delaying the Batman even further? Like, the Batman, obviously is one of the biggest money making titles of DC. That's why we get so many reboots and so many versions. Why are they not prioritizing this, do you think?
There's like a part of me that thinks like, is this like an escape hatch? You know, if for some reason this Superman movie is bad, and I wouldn't say it's going to be. Like, if I had to put my money and investments in somebody, I think James Gunn and Peter Safran is a safe bet to launch a franchise. So I'm not saying this is going to happen, but just imagine it. The Superman movie comes out and it's awful.
Well,
Nobody goes and sees it.
I wouldn't say
it's
awful.
awful.
Like, even if it just breaks even, which is not what you want Superman to do, right? You want it to bring a profit in.
Like it doesn't even move the needle. Like it makes no cultural impact at all. Then you kind of have this Batman movie that's like your escape hatch of just like, oh, guess what? All these movies now exist in the Robert Pattinson Batman universe, and we'll just continue with that. I don't think that's the strategy, but if they keep delaying it, they could pivot if they need to.
Yeah, and I think like it's just weird to not ride that hype and try to do this. You know, you can't rush quality, absolutely, and they're not going to put a movie out that's not qualitative because they're not Sony, right? They're Warner Brothers. They seem a little smarter on movie releases, but like it's just like, oh man, you guys, this Clayface release date does not give me confidence in an October release date for the Batman. The script for the Batman isn't done, but Clayface is. So guess what? You're going to be sliding back. And we also have was it Batman the Brave and the Bold that's supposed to be coming out from DCU. And then we're going to talk about another Batman adjacent movie. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do it now. A Dynamic Duo was officially confirmed to be greenlit as well this week. Underneath all the Clayface stuff, like, oh, the Dynamic Duo movie. And this is the one that's supposed to be like, it's not stop motion. It's like that, what's that called? It's not claymation. It's like a mixture of animation and CG and stuff like that. Yeah,
some sort of like new animation pipeline, I think is the idea, which is exciting. But since audiences don't kind of take animation as seriously as live action, even though they can be absolutely beautiful and amazing, you also have that escape hatch as well with animation of just like, well, if nobody watches it, it's okay, you don't have to.
The one Sony thing has been great. The only Spider-Man thing Sony's done that's been great has been their animation, thankfully. So I've got some faith in this. But this animated dynamic duo focused on the Robins, Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, greenlit with the release date of June 30th, 2028. So it sounds like they're just getting started. They're going to take their time because it's this again. I don't remember how long ago we shared that demo reel. And Mike, you even revisited it like 2 weeks ago, I think, in a group chat. This is not going to be anything like you've seen before, and I'm excited for that. I think this is going to be visually unique and hopefully has a good story behind it as well. But they are pushing Batman adjacent projects, but not the Batman himself just yet. So hopefully we can get back to getting the world's greatest detective on screen again. A lot of brooding. We're missing a lot of brooding in our movies, Mike. So back to Gotham. For those who did not catch Creature Commandos on Max yet, the first episode is now available to watch on YouTube for free. They've graciously put it there. This is not a leak or a scam. Max put it there. DC Universe put it there. Episodes 2 and 3 remain on Max, the streaming service so far. I think, Mike, my asterisk to this would be the first 2 episodes kind of go together. So I'm sad they didn't put both of them on here, but maybe they hope they get you bite on the first one and subscribe for the second one, right, along the way.
Yeah, there's a bit of a, not like a twist, but a setup to maybe the bigger plot of the season at the end of episode 3 as well. Mm-hmm. So there's a bit of a cliffhanger that we'll be able to figure out in episode 4.
Yeah.
So heads up.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you watch episode 3 yet?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I feel the same that I did last week, so not winning me over just yet with the second episodes, but I keep coming back is it Thursday? I think it's Thursdays, right? Wednesdays or Thursdays for this, so hopefully we can get through it with the 7 episodes. We can get there. As mentioned earlier, Superman, the rumors, everyone in the industry is anxiously waiting Superman trailer. Is highly likely to debut next week per insiders. Again, we have Mufasa and Sonic in theaters, so it might try to get in front of those movies. We would be talking about it probably when we come back for Christmas. It could be airing on Christmas Day. What was it? There's like several basketball games or football games on Christmas Day. Whichever ones they are, it might debut during those as well. We don't know. So hopefully when we come back on the 29th, we'll be talking about the Superman trailer. This was a very early news this week, but the insiders are saying that may not be Superman focused. I don't know what that means. Someone's like, "Oh, does that mean that we're gonna see Crypto bounding across the moon and then sitting down next to Superman?" I'm like, well, that would be kind of a cop out. But we see the world of the universe instead.
My guess would be it's like maybe more in line of a true teaser trailer, where you're not really getting any idea of what the story elements are or any decent shots of the character. There will be, I'm sure, at least one shot of Superman, which everyone will screen grab, clip out Superman, and that will be in the image for every article until we probably get a full trailer at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So those are my predictions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I'm really hoping for, and this is personal choice here, is like maybe they do a kind of like how they did the Guardians 1 trailer, where like they did the lineup and like they kind of went through some of the characters. Now I don't need a lineup, but like we already know there's going to be dozens of characters in this movie. Like, yeah, show us the world of the. Show us, maybe we get the corporate sponsored hero team instead, and they're kind of like doing maybe some commercials for that, and then like at the end, you're like, we got to go catch Superman or something. I don't know, but there's some ideas in there where it's not necessarily the story, but hopefully not going to be fun. And maybe it's him catching a train, Mike. Maybe that'll be our Superman image forever. Him holding on to a train. I just added this in here because we didn't talk about the first half of the Secret Level episodes are on Amazon. I thought they were dropping them all. They only put half of them on there. The next half are coming up this week. Were you able to catch any of those along this week yet?
No. Is the Mega Man one out? That's probably the only one I'll bother to go watch.
It is not. So the first 8 episodes are on here, and the next ones drop, I think, the 17th. However, the ones on here, the Pac-Man one is on here, and the Armored Core one featuring Keanu Reeves is on here.
I did want to watch that.
Yeah, so Pac-Man actually is an entirely different take on Pac-Man. It is not the video game at all. So much so that they've released at the Video Game Awards, they're releasing a game based on this short where like you're not playing Pac-Man, you're playing some person and Pac-Man is accompanying you. This version of Pac-Man.
All right.
It's very much a different take on it. It's about 11 minutes, and like most, like the last 3 minutes are like credits. Armored Core felt like a cutscene from the video game. If you were playing Armored Core, which obviously these are supposed to be kind of cutscenes from the video games. As well, it's a 14-minute one, and there's some other ones in here. The Sifu one with the different art style is in here. I haven't got to watch that yet. But I will say, I'm lukewarm on these, but I'm hoping the second half maybe includes the better ones along the way. And I only say that because how like, and this might not be the true for Love, Death, and Robots. I didn't watch that, but like it feels like it's just doing things different to be different, but not have any story substance. So like, ooh, look how edgy we are. Look how different our thoughts are on this. Like we're taking something in a new edgy direction, and there's no substance behind that direction. It's just more like we're doing it to be different. So love your take on Pac-Man and Armored Core. I think were the big two that you would also be in there. Dungeons and Dragons is in there. Unreal Tournament is in there. Crossfire is in here, and I thought it was going to be the Crossfire, the marble game from the 90s where you get caught in the crossfire, but it's not. It's actually like a shooter game. So I was kind of disappointed I didn't get caught in the crossfire. And then Sifu, obviously different art style with that one. So check those out on Amazon Prime if you get a chance. We're going to talk a little bit about Marvel for a little bit. Did you catch the new Deadpool and Kidpool Meet Linda Carter for Sick Kids video?
I saw it and I was like, oh, we finally have an answer to why Deadpool was in a studio
with Christmas stuff.
Slate.
Yeah, with a bunch of Christmas stuff. So essentially Sick Kids is an organization that provides you donate to them and they give money to things that help kids get better. So they have Deadpool and Kidpool, which I believe is voiced by Ryan Reynolds' daughter, oldest daughter, as well. They're on top of the roof, and then some. They need help, and then Linda Carter herself shows up, the original live action Wonder Woman from the TV show, and they obviously have some. So I guess jokes like, "Oh, aren't you a wonderful woman?" banter back and forth. And she's like, all right, I'm going to suit up for this. So you think she's going to spin around and turn into Wonder Woman. She just turns into like a big ugly Christmas sweater with a bow on it. And they were like, oh, we couldn't get this past the DC lawyers. So really fun meta commentary as usual for Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds and his wife Blake Lively will match all donations up to $500,000. So people who donate towards the Sick Kids Foundation can get their donation matched up to $500,000 along the way. Pretty fun. I mean, there's really no substance here, Mike, right? This is one of those things where it's like they're doing a promotion, they're having a good time, and they were able to get another celebrity in there. Because I think Linda Carter was even in Wonder Woman 84 for like a moment, for a couple scenes.
Yeah, my first thought was like, oh, nobody who is really into Deadpool, the generation that is going to know who Linda Carter is. But then I went, oh, but they're not going for that audience. They're going for the audience that wants to open up their wallet and donate. And those are like a totally different group of people. So I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, it's a nice mix of both. You can also check out that video. Link is in our show notes as we talk about videos and stuff there in our show notes. Moving on to Avengers Doomsday news. Chris Evans has been confirmed to return via the Wrap. If I woke up with my head sewn to the carpet tomorrow, Mike, I would be less surprised than I am right now.
I mean, these headlines are driving me crazy. Yeah. Everyone is going to show up in both of these Avengers movies. So every time I see these headlines, I'm just going like, okay. Yep. Figured, like I'm not surprised.
And we know this. I think it's again for the people who don't know, or don't look into this so much. Like I feel like this would be something I will hear about at Christmas. Chris Evans, Captain America is going to come back. Yep, he probably is. Now here's where it gets interesting. Is one of the scoopers who is mostly right. I've seen him be a lot more wrong lately, and I think that might be intentional from the studios to block people from leaking things, but that he's saying he will play Nomad, the non-America allegiance version of Captain America, who was in the comic books. Like he just kind of did his own thing, and we've already seen that in Infinity War, right? When he had the secret.
I would
Avengers.
think it's probably just going to be. I think this is just how you kind of get a different visual look to the character, because these actors reprising their characters are going to be multiversal in a way. We're not going to get, I don't think we're going to get the Steve Rogers from our MCU popping back up. It's going to be like a different version.
Yeah.
He'll have like more of like a Nomad inspired suit, and he'll have his own backstory, but I don't think any of these characters are going to have huge flushed out arcs or anything like that. They'll be probably like one-off banter of like, oh, what's going on? How did you get this way in your world or something like that? So,
I would look at Deadpool and Wolverine as a, maybe not necessarily the framework, but a framework for how they're going to do that, right? All the cameos in there, all the different versions popping up, and like, we left room for clapping. There's a lot of room for clapping in here, and people to cheer in the theater. They're going to talk about, our world's awful, or, I never joined America, or we never recovered from Thanos or something. Yeah, right, along the way. The theory I like a little better, half of this I like. So one is that everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to be Captain Hydra. I'm like, that's too easy. That's way too easy to bring Chris Evans in, and now he's a Hydra Captain America, right? I think that's way too low-hanging fruit and just wouldn't be as fun. But the idea that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is building, his Avengers, Dark Avengers, maybe Evil Avengers, as antagonists to our world's Avengers, because they don't know. They think Doctor Strange is possibly causing the incursions, and that's our next bullet point. Would be more interesting if, like rather than have them be on our side all the time, like, oh, all these Avengers are teaming up because they think our good guys are the villains because they've been lied to by Doctor Doom. I like that idea a lot more than just like, oh, they're here and we're going to pick them up and build a convoy of heroes along the way to something, right? They need the antagonist. They need someone like if you put Sam Wilson against the original Captain America, Steve Rogers, who's gonna win that? Our Captain America, they're Captain America every day, right? Like literally, like I don't think, and we've talked about this. How do you put Sam Wilson, who's got a flight suit, versus a super soldier? The super soldier's gonna win. So I would love to see how they do this. Now this may be not true. These are all rumors, but I think that's interesting. Tied into that, Mike, and this is where we're gonna, the Secret Wars movie as a whole, is that Doctor Strange and Clea, who we last saw in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, their actions are rumored to be 60% of why Secret Wars is happening. So we saw him pop off to stop incursions because he was being introduced to this about his movie. Clea's father in the comic books is Dormammu, so maybe they went to the dark dimension. Maybe they're doing some weird stuff, blowing up other Earths, killing whatever, and they may be at fault and may be seen as the bad guys to Doctor Doom and the other villains, or quote unquote villains. And the other 40% of Secret Wars is made up due to the actions of Spider-Man, Loki, Wanda/Scarlet Witch, and Doctor Doom himself. So it sounds like
very specific percentage to lay out. I mean, just looking at this, I would think Loki would be like 99% and everyone else would be 1%, just from my point of view. But maybe that's just because I thought the story of Loki was just more narratively impactful for myself. And man, those last I think 2 episodes of Loki season 2 are just so great. I love it. Just how he's dealing with the idea of he can't fix this universe, even though it keeps breaking, and it literally is pulling to threads, and it's just so good. So, but I think this is probably just a guess, because it's if you're getting this leak, is the person who's supplying the information handing out percentages? I don't know, but
maybe it's one of those how many times does this name show up in the movie script kind of thing, right? We searched all the actors or all the characters' names, and these people have the most lines. It could be anything, but thinking of Doctor Strange, thinking of the movies and shows we've seen, Doctor Strange, absolutely high percentage. Spider-Man caused a small percentage due to his movie No Way Home, right? I wouldn't say he did that. That was still Doctor Strange doing the magic, but he had some multiversal heroes and villains. Loki obviously is the person holding the time tree together. Wanda, she did some reality stuff, when she was looking for the Darkhold across multiverses and possibly destroying it. And then Doctor Doom, we don't know what he's going to do yet, but absolutely, if he's the villain, he's got to be causing some of the problems as well, right? He can't just be, the guy who's right, and we just happen to hate him along the way. So, these movies, we know they're starting to film next year, Mike, and next year is now 2 weeks away. So we are coming up on this. I think we're going to be getting a lot more leaks and rumors. So we'll just, we'll pick and choose what we bring to the table. I don't think all of the leaks and rumors, or supposed leaks, mostly rumors, are worth, bringing up here. But if anybody has anything or you see anything, Mike, we'll chat it out. We'll hypothesize on the show. This week, the Golden Globe nominations were announced, and those are essentially the Academy Awards for TV shows, right? And Agatha All Along was put up for award for Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Television Series, Musical, or Comedy. This is important because that could mean there are multiple seasons in works for Agatha All Along due to the word series. WandaVision was placed under Best Television Limited Series, Anthology Series, or Motion Picture Made for Television, and that's why it only got 1 season. Which in hindsight they could have probably got more out of it, but they put it there and they can't. I think there's some rule they can't go back on it or something. But
I feel like I'm not saying it's a bad theory, but I feel like when it comes to these award shows, especially when it comes to the categories you place things in, it's just strategic. I wouldn't be surprised if you went back and looked at WandaVision, that it just made more competitive sense to put it in limited series, and maybe there was just stronger competition in the dramatic series role, and maybe that's what's happening here as well. Maybe Agatha All Along is just like, oh, we don't stand a chance in the limited series category this season because there's some heavy hitters there and there's no possible way we would win. But, oh, if we put it in, this category for musical or comedy, we actually might have a chance. That would be my guess, but I think your hands are kind of tied once you get to a second season, though, because then you're kind of establishing, oh, it's not a limited series anymore. You have made a second season, so
I looked up.
That would be my.
I looked up here the 2024 best television limited series for 2024, and right now it's All the Light We Cannot See, Beef, Daisy Jones and the Six, Fargo, Fellow Travelers, and Lessons in Chemistry, which I have not. I've heard of Beef, Fargo, and Daisy Jones, but I've not heard of the other three along the way. So that's it. I when you talk about competition, like, could it probably have pulled itself out of this a little better, like, out of these? Because I'm trying to think of I need to pull up what the other ones were for the best musical. But yeah, like, is it confirmation? Absolutely not. They don't have to make a season 2, but if they did put it in the other one, they would absolutely need to.
I mean, we do know Agatha All Along was a standout surprise, I think, for everyone involved. Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked that it would get a second season.
Let's see here. Oh my god, why can't they just list these out like normal people out here? Like, I'm just I think it's up against The Bear even maybe this year. I'm like, man, that's pretty.
Ooh,
it's pretty strong content. Like, I mean, like, there are pretty good. So here we go. No, that's Golden Globes. No, they have Best Motion Pictures 2025. Good 2025. Maybe I'm reading these wrong. I don't like how they do years on awards, either. Like, it's very interesting. Anyway, yeah. I don't think it needs a second season. I think by going into like maybe I know that it's like a trilogy, like thought of a WandaVision, Agatha, then Vision. Like, I would much rather see like a Wiccan show. Then
I mean, it makes the most sense narratively for where the show ended. So
yeah. Let's see here. Is House of the Dragon still going on here? Is that? Yeah. Okay. So here it is. So Catherine Hahn is up against Jean Smart from Hacks.
Hacks has been winning like everything that it's in every time it's nominated. So that's good.
Ayo Edebiri from The Bear, Selena Gomez, Only Murders in the Building, Keena Brunson from Abbott Elementary, Kristen Bell, and Nobody Wants This. That's a hard category right there. Just reading those out. And limited series, it should be the other one. Limited series, Kate Blanchett in Disclaimer, Jodie Foster in True Detective, Kristen Melody in The Penguin, Sofia Vergara in Griselda, Naomi Watson Feud, and Kate Winslet in The Regime. So, it could, like you said, it could be strategic. I'm sorry we took up so much time for everyone listening, but look this up. But I'm like, yeah, I didn't think what the other ones were, but hopefully, it does get an award of some kind, and they can slap it on that eventual $80 to $100 box or steelbook they released for me, Mike, that I have to buy. And they say the Golden Globe nominated show. Moving on, next week, actually, our next Marvel project that we get to see is What If, and the season 3 titles have been revealed through a fun little image on Instagram. They're going into the X-Men 97 vibe, right? Like a magazine on a table, like a TV guide kind of thing, which is fun. I like that art style. So next week on Saturday, Sunday 12/22, what if the Hulk fought the Mech Avengers? So it sounds like those big creatures that the mechs are fighting are Hulks. What if Agatha went to Hollywood? So we get in revisit Agatha a little bit. What if the Red Guardians stopped the Winter Soldier? We've seen some clips from that. What if Howard the Duck got hitched? Looks like he's marrying Darcy from the Thor movies. What if the Emergence destroyed the Earth? That one's going to be fun, Mike. Revisiting the Eternals, but like if it actually worked the way it was. What if 1872, which I believe is the Shang-Chi Western one? What if the Watcher disappeared? And then followed by the last episode called What If? What If. So these are great. I'm looking forward to wrapping the year up with these, Mike, watching these little bits as we get done with it. So
yeah, most curious in the way it all wraps up, since this is the final season and the previous seasons have had like a big fun build up. So
yeah,
I'll be checking in on that. What if?
Yeah, it sounds like both of the one, What If the Watcher Disappeared, What If are tied together a little bit. It's like one multi-part episode. Any of these surprise you along the way? I didn't expect What If Howard the Duck got hitched. That's not what the title I thought that would be. But any of these stand out to you as like, oh, I didn't expect that?
I like many people, I think I forget about the Eternals. So
Yeah.
seeing something about the Emergence, like, oh yeah, that's right, that was a whole thing.
Yeah. So we'll see how that plays. Maybe it'll bring some people back in since that was a 22, I think 22 movie. Moving on, we're going to talk about Spider-Man. We're going to wrap up the show with Spider-Man stuff. So first and foremost, Spider-Man 4. Amy Pascal, who is, I think, one of the main producers for Spider-Man, along with Kevin Feige, has said that the film will be focused more on Spider-Man than Peter Parker based on how No Way Home ended. And her quotes are, well, we have to deal with the fact that Peter Parker, decided he was going to give up being Peter Parker, and he was going to focus on being Spider-Man because being Peter Parker was too hard, she teased. That's what the movie is about. So at the end of No Way Home, we get Spider-Man / Peter Parker living in New York. Wait,
Chris,
yeah.
Are you trying to tell me they're going to be telling a Spider-Man story where he's trying to balance what it's like to be Spider-Man and also Peter Parker? What is the identity between his superhero self and his true self?
No, I'm not telling that. I'm telling you that he is not balancing it anymore. He's given up on Peter Parker, and now he's going. We're going to see just a lot more of him doing Spider-Maning.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's always. I feel like that's always the Spider-Man story, right?
Oh,
it's a struggle. You're either too much Spider-Man or you're not enough Spider-Man. So I just think it's funny when sometimes these things need to be clarified. Like, this is basically Amy Pascal saying is like, hey, can you believe there's going to be tension in this movie? Oh, my God. Wow.
Essentially,
I'm sure it's just...
My guess is she's like, hey, forget that Kraven came out. Avi Arad, we don't like him. We're going to be doing good Spider-Man stuff. We're going to be doing good Spider-Man over here with our team. Ignore the other team who just rammed it into the ground this year. But I really, again, we've talked about this to death, Mike. The end of Spider-Man No Way Home, when he's in the red and blue suit, swinging through Christmas time in New York, like, we want to see Spider-Man in New York City proper, right? Not on the outskirts, not in the suburbs. We want to see him downtown doing New York Spider-Man swinging stuff. And I think this gives me hope that they're going to lean into that a little bit, right? Doing that kind of stuff along the way. Moving into the other half of Spider-Man, the Avi Arad side, who's given us 3 really good movies this year. Mike, I don't know if you knew that he gave us Madam Web, Kraven, and Borderlands. That was one of his babies as well. So real winners. Everyone knows those 3 movies' names. I'll give them that much. He got publicity. But SPUM, Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters, or Marvel Characters, the SPUM universe. Sony, the reports are Sony's hanging up its non-Spider-Man universe movie attempts after taking this misfire, which is Kraven, very seriously, and they have a reset in store per deadline as of earlier this morning.
It's like so funny. Will somebody over there at Sony just throw the axe at Avi Arad or the people in charge of these movies? Because it's obviously not the characters or the IP. It's the people in charge of it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, now, like, Spider-Man has an iconic villains gallery, and there's no reason movies can't be made about them well. The only reason that we don't like it is because they've been so stinky. Ever since I saw that first Venom movie, I was like, oh boy, here we go, if this is what we're in store for. I don't know if Avi Arad is trying to do some like reverse image rehabilitation, because I've seen the same little factoid shared like on every social media website the last couple days, where it's like, oh, did you know Avi Arad was actually the one who came up with the idea for Spot being the villain in the Spider-Verse movies? wow, he's such a good guy. It's like if that's the only thing that he can like dig up as a positive thing that he's done in like the last decade is like he just said, well, let's use this character in this movie.
I don't
And
think
they'll
I don't think that's the full story. He probably just said, "Yeah, that's a good idea," and then took credit for it. Like I don't think
Yeah,
he has enough creativeness in him, other than like, yeah, we have this toy of the spot we made. So you know, if you're using him, yeah, we got toys already to make for that. Absolutely.
just throw the axe. I'm really curious, like what the hell this reboot is supposed to look like. It's felt like every single one of these movies is trying to be a reboot, like desperately getting people to watch it. You know,
let's jump into that. So apparently, this was the plan before Kraven even hit the theaters. Tracking and commercials would have told us, yeah, this is not going to work out. And the take is that they're going to focus solely on Spider-Man movies with Marvel. Marvel making the Spider-Man movies. They just work with them and get the check at the end of the day. Wouldn't that be great, Mike? We get a good Spider-Man movie and Sony gets a check and just shuts the hell up. You know, just get right out of here. But the reset is not necessarily resetting the universe or the movies, but like resetting their business approach to this. And could be looking at being an animated only theatrical approach, because obviously the Spider-Verse movies are doing great. They could do more if they ramp that up, bump that team up a little bit. And licensing out their live action TV shows, like we know with Spider-Man Noir, and they haven't done anything else yet. They've only talked about doing stuff like that. So looking at other ways to get revenue from what they have, rather than trying to make more Spider-Man movie or Spider-Man villain movies, not necessarily Spider-Man movies themselves. Right. So like this reset is very vague. Hopefully it's not. Again, I don't think it's a movie reset because. Venom is the one that has had the most success. Obviously, it's made the most money out of all of them. All three of them made the most money. They all turned a profit. Morbius, I don't know if you know this. I found this out later. The entire third act was reshot after the movie was done. Like it was recreated. The third act's not too bad, but boy, does it get there pretty quick. We talked about how the effects were really cool back when we watched it. Madam Web, most of that movie was filmed. They were tearing pages of the script out and then fixing everything in post with ADR. And I think when you watch it, I even told you not to watch it, right? You can tell the ADR on that. Like they really like the stuff in the trailer is not even in the movie along the way. Remember when she fizzes with that Pepsi can for like half an hour at that barbecue? But also Kraven, which we have not watched. I will just go say we have not watched it. It is on our plans to watch in a downtime moment, not where we need to go to the theaters to watch it. But apparently a lot of it has been ADR'd as well, like really, really bad, like a really noticeable ADR. We're going to talk about how they've changed a major plot point we talked about in the first trailer that's completely scrubbed from the final film, and they didn't do any reshoots to fix it. It's my understanding. Like they just edited things around it. So. Or they did do some reshoots, but they still edited around a lot of it. So, whoever is driving, the Venom ones are not Avi Arad. I'm pretty sure he was not attached to those. I could be wrong, but obviously they made the most money. Whether you like them or not, they did make a profit. They did do things that the studio wanted them to do, even if they're mid movies. The other three, just crash and burn. Right? Remember when the studio tried to get into its Morbin time with us and like. On Discord and try to get people to say it, and then it just ruined that whole approach. But I think it's time that Sony just gives the projects to the professionals and let them run it and just keep their hands out of it right along the way.
Agreed.
Yeah. The last bit of news I had about Kraven, I keep seeing I don't want to beat this dead horse. Everyone knows this movie's not good. People aren't watching it. We're not the first people to cover it. It's been covered 6 months ago. People are like, movie's doomed. Yeah, we get it. We don't need to beat this horse. I keep seeing numbers come in for this over the weekend. Apparently it's opening less than $11 million over the opening weekend. It costs $120 million to make is the assumption on the cost there. It is in third place behind Wicked and Moana 2, which made each of them both made more than double this. I think 23 was the next closest one. The other one's right there with it. So obviously there are not people who want to see this. They probably not marketed it properly enough along the way. So we don't need to tell you it's a dud and will continue to be a dud, but it feels like the nail in the coffin for this already before it even got out there. I'm expecting to watch it literally probably like mid-January on streaming, like 30
This
days.
would be this will be a great airplane movie as well. Just like, oh yeah, let's throw this train wreck on and see what's going
Right.
on.
I can't hear it over the airplane. That's fine. We don't need to. It'll be all right.
Just stay tuned. You'll see Aaron Taylor Johnson once again in 28 years later.
Yeah,
and I'm sure he'll be great because he's a great actor.
Yeah,
I'm glad at least he got a paycheck.
Yeah, he's done some really good stuff. Was it Bullet Train last year? Maybe 2 years ago. I loved him in that. He does good stuff. So I don't think he's the problem here, but maybe his agent is. Lastly, we talked about this till we just ripped on the first trailer so hard, however many years ago that was, where the lion's blood got into his blood and it looks like it gave him magic powers along the way. Apparently, that's completely gone from the film. That entire first trailer, like of him getting magic blood, they cut it. They rewrote that so hard, Mike. It doesn't even happen in the movie at all. So I thought that was very, very interesting. That enough internet feedback to this got them to remove that. Didn't make a good movie like Sonic, but it at least got them to kind of fix that up. Have you seen any of the online, like the screens from the movie online yet? Okay. Well, it's literally in our video right now. Is one of the screens. Because I was just everyone's like, this is what the rhino looks like, or this is what the chameleon looks like.
Oh no! Now that you say, I think I did see a shot of the rhino.
Yeah. So I just shared it with you. All in all, I'm gonna be honest. This is obviously a cam. Someone took a photo in a theater and shared it up online. Of the two rhinos we've had in the Spider-Man universe, the mech one and this one feels more like the comic books, right? Some dude mutated into a rhino. Is it great? I don't know, but like I would take this over the mech rhino if I was going to be completely honest, with Paul Giamatti at the helm. But I share that to you to take a peek there. Well, Mike, that is the episode for this week. This is we're wrapping up here. We're taking a week off next week. We'll be back at the end of the year to wrap the year up. I think it might be time to go over those popcorn buckets at the end of the year, Mike. Now that all the movies are done, all the popcorn buckets. So I think if we don't have a lot of news, we'll probably have a lot of news. Now that I've said that, we'll try to bring the popcorn bucket rankings into the end of the year, or at least start the year off with 2024's popcorn buckets. But if people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Yeah, they can read my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to catch up with you. Where are you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or Video Game Systems of the same name. I love the holiday time because I can play a lot more video games because it's dark at like 4 o'clock and not a lot going on during the weeks. So find me there. If people want to know more about our show, where they can listen to this, all the history, 10 years of history, almost, where can they get all them goodies at?
All you have to do is head on over to superheroslate.com. Best place to find our awesome show notes. You can find us at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love listening to podcasts. You can get merch, superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. If you happen to be one of the dozen people that saw Kraven, let us know what you thought about the movie. And we love our super fans. So if you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Bye.